The Biden administration is getting ready to unfurl more massive spending programs on a whole range of fronts. Infrastructure programs, entitlement programs, with, of course, accompanying tax increases that are targeted at corporations, targeted at people who save money, targeted at the so-called rich or the upper income brackets. This is a systematic sort of robbing Peter to pay Paul. And we can see the political benefit of it to Democrats. They get to play, you may say, Santa Claus in exchange for your vote. So these aren't really presents. And of course, I think we also know that the stuff that they offer isn't really free. There's no such thing as free college because colleges involve buildings and heating costs and infrastructure and technology and even online education. You still have to pay professors. So the bottom line of it is this stuff isn't free. Healthcare isn't free. Someone has to pay. And the question is, where is that cost being laid? Who ends up paying it? Now, how can this kind of confiscatory approach, let's take it from this guy and give it to that guy, so it's free to him. How do you justify this? Well, the left's argument is we justify it through an appeal to democracy. This is, of course, the left's big word on all kinds of fronts. They want to reform voting laws. We're promoting democracy, Dinesh. And they also want to move us in the direction of socialism on the pretext of democracy. Here's Michael Moore. To me, socialism means everyone has a seat at the table and everyone gets a slice of the pie. The socialist writer Irving Howe, we believe that the democracy that more or less prevails in political life should be extended into economic life. So this is what the socialists and the progressives believe, is that there's no harm in democratically, through the democratic system, through elected representatives, confiscating resources from some people and giving it to others, because what is that but rather the democratic process taking control over the economy. So the idea here is very simple, and that is that democratic socialism or progressivism gets its moral sanction from the idea of democracy, from the consent of the people. Now, this rhetoric is so highfalutin and high-blown that we have to pause for a moment, because I feel like, oh wow, I'm part of the people. I'm going to be in control of the healthcare system. But then I think to myself, really, what control does the ordinary British citizen have over the British national health? They have national healthcare. What say does the ordinary guy have over that? None. In America, the post office is a public institution. What say do you or I have over the way in which the post office is run? Zero. Or any other public institution for that matter. The simple truth of it is the DMV, the post office, they're run according to bureaucratic dictates. The ordinary citizen has no say, in fact, has less say than they would, let's say, if they made a complaint at the Apple Store or some other private institution. Now, let's talk a little bit about capitalism and democracy, because it turns out that in democracy, people vote. In the political system, people vote. But in the capitalist system, they vote more directly, more often. There's more participatory democracy. So let me explain what I mean by that. In the political system, we vote. But when do we vote? We vote periodically, occasionally, every 2 years at the midterm, or every 4 years on election day or around election day. And that's it. That's the only say that you or I have as citizens. That's the only time we vote. All the other decisions, tax increases, whether or not to build a wall or open the border, these decisions are made by other people on our behalf, to be sure. So we elect the people who make those decisions. It's representative democracy. But notice the indirect involvement, the occasional involvement, and also the minimal incremental influence that you or I have. Why? Because we're one of 100 million voters. That's all the say we have in the democracy. Now, let's contrast this with capitalism and with the way that you or I have a say in the market. Turns out that the market is not based upon representative democracy. It's based on direct democracy. Why? Because in the market, you vote directly. You vote with your ballot is a dollar bill. And you may say, well, that's the influence of money, Dinesh. Well, the truth of it is, when you vote in politics, your vote costs you nothing. But when you vote with your dollar bills, this is your hard-earned money. It represents the value of your own stored labor. You're going to be more reluctant to part with it. And yet you vote, as I say, directly. You don't elect some other guy to go to the Apple store. You go to the Apple store. You buy online. You put your money. You get the product directly. So what I'm getting at is, in the market, citizens are voting through ballots, you may say, constantly, incessantly, daily, in fact, many times a day. And the beauty of it is a much bigger electorate than in politics. Think about it. In politics, you have to be a certain age to vote. Obviously, non-citizens can't vote. Even if you're a legal resident of America, you have a green card, you can't vote. But interestingly, in the market, you can. Why? Because if you have a green card, you can certainly go to Walmart and buy stuff. You're voting with your pocketbook in the market constantly. So the point I'm trying to make here is that capitalism is, as a practical matter, far more democratic. It engages popular participation far more than the political process. So what democratic socialism promises you, hey, we're going to get the people involved. The people are going to have a say over what products are made and how the market is run. The truth of it is the people already have a say. They have more say. And in fact, when the left deplores all these people who have made all this money, Steve Jobs and Jeff Bezos, and look, I don't like these guys' politics either. But the point I'm trying to make is the reason they got so rich is because you and I made them rich. The reason Steve Jobs his family became a billionaire, I know the late Steve Jobs, is because you and I stood in line to get the latest iPhone and the iPad and all the other products. And we did this, again, exercising our popular participation in the market. Bottom line, the left appeals to the idea of democracy. We need democratic control of the market. But the reason we don't need democratic control of the market is we already have it. Capitalism, like democracy, is rooted in popular will and popular consent, and therefore capitalism, like democracy itself, is a form of social justice.